everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessie. I do planning, bookish, and lifestyle content here on YouTube. And today I have a really fun video, and that is my January wrap-up slash February setup. I did mention in a few videos, maybe one or two, talking about my goals and such, that I really enjoyed watching videos of this style, and so I wanted to try it out for myself. I have my reading journal. I have a bunch of scissors, pens, washi tapes, glue tape, whiteout, rulers, and stuff in here. I have some metallic markers. And then I took some time to go through my stash, and I kind of labeled all of the kind of groups of things that I thought that I could use for each book's own spread. And that is something else that's quite new for me this year, is doing spreads for individual books. I haven't really done that before, so this is kind of an experiment, you could say. So I have some really fun books to kind of decorate spreads and pages with. So without further ado, let's get started. Also, I will never say spoilers in these videos, but when I'm writing out my thoughts on these books, there will be spoilers in there. So if you want to pause or go to my Goodreads or Storygraph, all of my stuff will be linked in the description bar. So if you want to follow me or become friends on any of those platforms, please go over and follow or like, whichever is individual to that platform. But I'm going to stop rambling and let's dive in. I'm really excited. Hello everybody, and welcome to the voiceover portion of this video. I am so excited to be diving in. So first you'll see this sticky note, and that is just all of my ratings for each individual book. But we are going to start by filling in the yearly trackers. To do this, I mostly use Kindle and Goodreads because they work in tandem now. I didn't know if you know that, but when you start a book and finish a book, not only does it log your days read in Kindle, but it also starts and finishes that book on Goodreads now. I do also use Storygraph. This is new, kind of the end of last year into this year, and it's still fairly new to me, as I said, and so I'm still getting the hang of that. So my two most used are Kindle and Goodreads. But yeah, let's fill out these yearly trackers. So as you saw, we did all of our trackers, and now we're doing the A to Z or Z challenge. This just means that every book that I read that starts with a different letter will go on this list. So far, because it's the beginning of the year, this is extremely easy. I'm sure once the year goes on, it will get more difficult. Nothing for the DNF graveyard, and there's one quote that I loved this month, and it was from Boarded Hearts, which was, a spoiler alert, my favorite book of the month, but we'll get more into that when I do the page for it. And if you're wondering, the quote says, "Yet it's always the silent games that we play with ourselves that hit the hardest." And that got me right in the gut, because it's so true. Nothing for TV shows, and now we're diving right into January, and we are going to start with my progress calendar. And I got this idea from Erin Smith here on YouTube. Her reading journals and bullet journal content are absolutely gorgeous, and I really liked the idea of seeing how many days and how long it's actually taking me to read in a visual display, and I was not disappointed. I also realized that I did not update this as the month went on after this video, which I did film a little bit early just to be able to make sure I had enough time to actually edit it and get it out in February because this video had about 2 hours of footage, so I'm glad I started a little bit early. But we are diving into the first spread, which was One More Gift, and it was a pretty good book. We follow a divorced woman who is going to her cabin for the holidays to finally be with her friend, and they've always had feelings for each other but never acted on them. They met in college, but now that she's divorced, they've said, hey, let's give this a shot. And lo and behold, her ex-husband shows up to this cabin, and it's all the drama and shenanigans that happen, which were a lot in a good way. I did enjoy this book. The writing style I thought was good. The story was a little fast. No real introduction or anything like that, but this was quite a short book. There wasn't anything I especially loved or disliked about it, so I gave it a 2.4 stars on the rating system. This does also take place in the winter time, so I kind of gave it a little bit of a winter feel, which I very much enjoyed doing. Is Empower by Jessica Shiverington, and this was a very difficult spread for me because it's the last in a series and I wasn't sure if I wanted to add all of the book covers or just this one. You'll see I do a bunch of different title placements, and I really had a hard time with this spread. I don't know why, but this is one of my favorite book series of all time. It's definitely a test to the time it came out, which was the early 2000s. But it is, well, the first book anyways. But we follow Violet Eden, who it's her birthday and she hates it because her mom died giving birth to her. And we've also have her two best friends, Lincoln and Steph. It's a battle of light and dark. There's angels, there's fallen angels. It's kind of shadow hunters with Wheel of Time, in the sense of not the actual journey they go on, but we have different factions and different hierarchies. So every kind of, I'm not even going to call them hunters, but hunter is born to a different level in the angel system. And based on your angel parent, you are given a set of skills that vary within that caste. And the reason this happens is when a child loses a parent in birth, they are kind of left open to becoming a hunter. It's the easiest way to explain it without giving too much of the story away. But again, one of my absolute favorite series of all time. And the conclusion of this, which is this novel, Empower, is the best conclusion to a series I've ever read in my entire life. There, I said it, and I'm not upset about it because it was so good, and it's something that I reread almost every single year. But now we are working on redeeming, and this was okay. There wasn't anything surprising or crazy, or, you know, it's a football romance. Brother's best friend. When our main character moved to a new town, she met this boy on her bike, and he kind of became her first friend until her brother showed up, and they were no longer friends. They didn't really allow her to play with them, that kind of, you know, being. They don't like each other. Until Miss Ma'am makes a birthday wish, which I will not spoil for you, and things might get a little heated throughout this novel. It's a sports romance. I don't know if I said that or not, but it was really, really good. I gave this a 3.4. Also, Empower was a 5-star. I didn't use the rating system for that novel. I just gave it 5 stars because it's always been 5 stars for me. But redeeming for me, the pacing was wonderful. I really liked that. I liked the conflict within this book. I liked the characters. It just wasn't that like 4 or 5 topper for me. Okay, now we are moving into a different day, a different week. I've now printed off some photos that I'm going back and putting in. This video, like I said from the very beginning, was an experiment, and one that I really enjoyed, and by the end of the video I actually got the hang of what I wanted. You'll also see that some of the covers are cut off. I am still learning how to print off covers with my printer, but it did the job it needed to do, and I enjoy how these spreads came out. You'll also see for some of the spreads I printed off my thoughts. Some are directly from Goodreads, some I typed up after reading the novel. Okay, so now we are moving on to A House of Flame and Shadow. There are lots of thoughts that I have about this novel. It was a 3.4 for me. I was very nervous, like so many others, going into this book with the ending of the last one, which I will not spoil for anybody. Sky and Breath. but I was very nervous, and the way that Miss Mass handled it, I was very okay with, and I very much liked. If you know, you know. If you don't, read it and you'll know. But overall, I think that this book's pacing was good, and I think that the story name being Flame and Shadow, I think it was focused on the two characters that it should have been, and I think that the other characters really annoyed me with not acting to their true self, and even though it's explained, it still doesn't explain. I don't know how to go about saying this without spoiling anything, so that's what I'm going to leave it at. I was very disappointed in some aspects of this novel, and I'm confused on where we're going to go next, considering who we defeated in this novel. Is it gonna be novellas of other characters? Are we gonna continue with the characters we have? I'm so confused on where we're going forward, but that's a talk for another time. Okay, so now we are working on another loved book this month, and it is The Sins We Hide by S. Cole. I gave this a 3.8. And what to say about this book? It was so good. I loved the characters. I read this as kind of a, what do you call it, research, I guess, for my own novel. It's a motorcycle romance, and we follow a girl who has pretty much lived her adult life, just her and her mom, and her mom was killed, so she is seeking out the help of her father, who is the head of a motorcycle gang and a motorcycle club, only to find out that he too was murdered, that they buried their parents, as the new head of the club is her brother, on the same day. Everybody at this club does not particularly like her per se, as her mother, what the club knows, her mother betrayed and talked to the feds, and a huge bust went down. One of the male main character's father went to prison, and there was a lot going on, but to everyone's knowledge of what happened behind the scenes throughout this book, they find out maybe didn't happen the way they thought it did. And I loved the layering of this novel. I loved the storytelling of this novel. I think it was really, really well, and it is the first in a multiple book series, and a series of standalones. Each book follows a different club member, and it was just really good. Definitely wonderful research for my own novel, as again, I'm writing a romance that's motorcycle inspired, so it was really, really good. Next is Boarded Hearts, which, again, favorite book of the month. I gave it a 4.8 out of the rating system, and it was so good. So we follow Felicity, who has just recently been divorced. Something about recently divorced novels. We have 2 of them this month. And she was in a marriage that really didn't care about her or the kids. So she's recently divorced, and she ends up staying in the States with her son and her ex-husband, and their daughter go back to the UK. He is terrible. He emotionally abuses her, tells her, you really get the sense in the very first chapter, which is pre-divorce, and you really just see how he thinks of their marriage and their family, but they end up going to the States for his job, her ex-husband's job. And fast forward, and we are at the beginning of this book. And she meets John when she goes to pick up season tickets for the hockey season, the local hockey team. And not knowing who he is, they run into each other, talk about it, and kind of becomes a hot topic. He can't get her out of his mind, and vice versa. It's so good, and John really just takes it easy with her because he knows he wants to be with her, but also respects that she's recently divorced and she wants to learn who she is and what she wants out of life, not being in a relationship. And it's really wonderful to see him let her be her and also show her what a real supportive relationship looks like if they were to be together. And he really allows her to become her own person without forcing their relationship on each other. It was just really good, and the end of this book had me in tears in the best possible way. I lost my father at a very young age, and one of the lines at the end of this book just, it got me in my feels, people. It got me in my feels. So I very much recommend this book. It is a hockey romance. But what really set this book apart from other romances is how much he legit respects her and doesn't push their relationship on her. And he really wants to show her what their relationship could be and what a healthy relationship is. And he's not like, just go on a date with me, just do this, just do that, where I find a lot of hockey romances do that. This one didn't, and I very much enjoyed it. There are 2 more books that I read, Ink and Sabotage by T.O. Smith, that are also motorcycle club romances, and I did not get to reviewing them for this setup, but I have written my reviews on Goodreads, so if you want to go see what I thought about them, go ahead. T.O. Smith was one of the very first motorcycle romance authors that I found years ago, and she really inspired my love for the genre and really inspired me to write motorcycle romance. So I do go back and reread her novels every once and again, but I did not get to write my thoughts. This, again, both of these novels are standalones within the same series, and they, again, the same as before, follow different club members in their own novels. So very, very lovely. I loved them. Next is, as you're seeing now, my February setup. I went with a purple theme. I'm really not a hearts and candy kind of person when it comes to February and Valentine's Day. I like going out for dinner, but I'm totally cool staying in, watching a movie, and making our own dinner together and spending quality time instead of going out. Those are more things that we do for special occasions like our birthdays and so on and so forth. So I'm really not a hearts and candies person, though I do like my sprig of chocolate every now and again. I will never say no to that. But I went with a purple flowery watercolor theme this month, and I really, really enjoyed it. Again, I printed out a bunch of stickers and the headers for this month, and I'm dabbling in people, and I'm really enjoying this. I originally got this, it's not a new concept, but a journaler that I really love is Jess, and she does this a lot for her bullet journal setups as well as her bookish bullet journal setups. So I very much wanted to try it out, and I really like it. So I have a file in Canva that is all of the headers that I use over and over again, and I think I'm just gonna switch out the font and color for each month and see how I get on with that, because it is so much easier and so much faster than writing them out myself. So I really loved this setup, needless to say. almost at the final flip through. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, do you like the voiceover? I don't do many voiceover videos, so this one may be a little chatty. I'll get better at it. I might script it out or something like that for the next one. But let me know if you just want music and you want to put this on in the background and just watch while you set up your own journals. Whichever. Let me know if you enjoyed it. At the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you've made it to the end. Subscribe to my channel if you want more of my content, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.